Welcome. So now we're going to talk about the 4 different types of questions, the topics that there can be on task 2. So the first one is agree, disagree. Okay? So I'm going to go over the plan really briefly for each topic that you're going to get. Okay, so how you're going to write it. So for agree, disagree questions, first you're going to have your introduction. That's the same. Introduction, conclusion is always the same. The only thing that differs with these topics is the body paragraphs. So what's in the middle. Okay, so your first body paragraph is going to be agree. Now, you're going to say, it says, do you agree or disagree? I have to choose one. I always say, be in the middle. Okay, that's the safest. Because when you only choose agree, you're going to have to come up with that many ideas for agree. But when you agree and disagree, then you can have a little bit of ideas, but for both. And it'll be easier for you. Try it both ways, you'll understand what I mean. So, first you're going to agree, and then you're going to say why you disagree. Okay? And then in the introduction, you can say what you think. So whether you agree or disagree. But just a little bit. You're not going to explain the whole thing. You're just going to say, I'm inclined to agree to this. And then you can just explain a little bit because blah, blah, blah. But you're not going to write a full paragraph on it. Okay? And that would be pretty much the only time when you use the word I in that essay. Otherwise, it's one. One thinks, one believes, people, individuals. Okay? So that's one of the topics. The next one is advantages, disadvantages. So this one, you're just pretty much saying what's good about a topic and what's bad about a certain subject. So introduction is always the same. Then you're going to say the advantages, so what's positive. And then you're going to say the disadvantages, so what's negative about it. And then conclusion. So in this case, you're not going to write your opinion anywhere. It's just what's good and what's bad. That's it. Okay. Next, we have opinion and discussion. And I put 2 stars beside this one because it's the hardest one. It's the longest one that you have to write. So for opinion and discussion, you give, once again, introduction, and then you say what your opinion is, but slightly. Like, I'm inclined to believe this because, that's it. 1 sentence, you're done. Then body paragraph, you say one view. So it can be like, what are the advantages, disadvantages, and give your opinion, right? So you give one view. So let's say advantages. And then you give the disadvantages. And this is the only topic that you're going to have 3 body paragraphs. Every other topic, you're going to have 2 body paragraphs, okay? So this is why it takes the longest and it's the hardest because you have to write more. But here, the 3rd body paragraph is going to be shorter than the first 2, okay? Now, another important thing, you want to make sure that when you're writing your body paragraphs, the size has to look the same. So there can be a little bit of a difference, but you don't want to have like one tiny one and one huge one, okay? In this case, the 3rd one is going to be a little bit smaller than the other paragraphs because you're just going to give your opinion. So here you can say, I believe this, blah, 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 and you can use I in this paragraph, okay? And then you give your conclusion. And the last one, which is the easiest, I think, is the problem and solution. So you give the introduction, then they're either going to ask for the causes of the problem or what problem it causes, and then the solution. So first you give the causes and the solution. I put down, think of idealistic world. IELTS, you don't have to, you can pretend that we live in a perfect world where, we can solve hunger and global climate change. So you can pretend that we live in a perfect world, and that whatever you say can actually happen. So that makes it a little bit easier because you don't have to be realistic about it. And then you give your conclusion. And that pretty much sums up the 4 different types of topics and what format you would use. And then I've posted an article for some phrases, some sentences that you can just recycle throughout your papers, right? So you can just use the same phrases. You don't have to memorize different phrases for different paper. Just memorize a few, what you say at the beginning and the body and the conclusion, and then you're done. You know that whenever you get a topic like this, you can reuse those phrases.